Hello and welcome to the Digital Classroom. I am Jamie Benedict and I am here with the tools and techniques for the digital curriculum. Today I want to take a couple of moments and talk about classroom security in a virtual setting. And that is really important. If you remember back to the spring when all of this started, we had all kinds of issues with the classroom setting, in particular Zoom, where teachers were hosting meetings and then they were having outsiders come into their meetings. They were having students that were taking control of things. And it's not entirely their fault. Of course, we were on a setup where this was a short notice and teachers didn't have a lot of time to prep for it. But at the same time, there were a lot of things that could have been done to secure their classroom a little bit better. So let's talk about some of those things today. In this product right here called Microsoft Teams, I've got a couple of students helping me out today with the setup, and they're going to be working alongside me with just being my examples for everything that we're doing today. Now, I did bring them in and ask them to mute to get started, but I can also mute all of the participants in the room when we get started. And at any time, if I don't like what a student is doing, I can remove them from the class. So they do understand that they have to be on their best behavior, just as if they were in school. But this is something that you still have a little bit of control over here. I can check the chat in my room. And if you would you guys type just a quick message in there, say hello to everybody? And their messages pop up here on the screen. And go ahead and give them some sort of fun emoji also to go along with that hello. They're actually using these tools right down here at the bottom. And I could throw an emoji back to them. And of course, I'm as cool as it gets. So I'm going to pick this one and I'm going to click send. There we go. And so now they know how cool I am because of my little emoji there. Now, that is fine. I trust these students. I would never worry about them in my classroom setting. However, that is not always the case with students. And we know that there are times that students are just going to do things that we don't really want them to do. So I'm going to show you a little bit of a workaround for this. I'm going to end this meeting on here. And I'm going to start a new meeting, but I'm going to change some settings. So you two students, if you would, go out of the meeting and count to 60 for me, and then try to rejoin the meeting. So we're going to go ahead and end our meeting, which is always important. Always make sure that you have ended your meeting. And I'm going to click on Meet. And again, I'm going to turn off this camera because I'm not worried about that one. And I'm going to click Meet now, but I am going to hit these three dots and do Manage Permissions. So if I can get into this meeting before the students, I can set up my permissions. And this is asking who can bypass the lobby, and I'm going to say only me. I'm not going to let callers bypass. And who can present, and I'm going to say only me. And I'm going to click Save. I'm going to close this, and now when my two students try to enter the meeting, and they should be entering here any moment now, they're going to actually be thrown into a waiting room or a lobby waiting for my approval. With Teams, your link can be shared with anyone within our organization. So that means that students who are not in your class could actually end up with your link and come into your class. And that means that they can go in there and do whatever they want to do. So I can control that setting by forcing every kid into the lobby. And so as I see them enter, I can either check to let them in, or I can just hit Admit All. And you can see they are now admitted. The great thing about this is that when they admit under the lobby and when I change those settings, they are no longer attendees. They cannot present on my screen, which means that on their end, sharing is now disabled, and they are not able to take over my control of my presentation. I can choose to make either one of them a presenter where they could share their screen, but again, I'm in control of the setting when that happens. So we definitely want to make sure that we are controlling the environment as much as possible. Now, what happens when we set up a meeting ahead of time? So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to, again, kick my participants out of the meeting here, and I'm going to set up a meeting for them to join, and I'm going to show you how you can change your details when you set up a meeting. And I like the idea of scheduling the meeting and putting it on the calendar first rather than just doing a meet now. So let's go ahead, and again, I'm going to end the meeting. And this time I'm going to schedule a meeting. And I'm going to schedule this, so it's 1:01. I'm actually going to schedule this meeting for, let's schedule it for 1:04 p.m. And I can run this to whatever time. We have 52-minute classes at my school, so I'm going to run this to, let's say 1:56 p.m. And I can choose to repeat this. That's fine. I can also put a description in here. Really what I want to do right now is make sure that I get that message sent. And then this pops up in the meeting. So here's our scheduled meeting at 1:04. I'm going to click on this, and now I have meeting options here. And again, it takes me right back to those meeting options so that I can set this up. Click Save. I got a notification that my meeting has been scheduled. And then I can click Join on the meeting. And I can do that at any time once I've scheduled the meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and click Now. And now we are just waiting for these students to enter the meeting. And so they're going to have to go through the lobby. And here we have our lobby popping up, and it lets us know that we have a student waiting there. And once my other student is in the lobby as well, then I will be able to admit both of them and allow them into the meeting. There we go. So I have both participants in there. Again, I can come back in here, admit them one at a time, or I can just hit admit all. And I am now in control of the room because, again, they come in as attendees and they are not presenters, so they cannot control my screen until I give them permission to do so. The one downside that I'm finding with Teams right now is that I can mute a student, but I cannot unmute them. So if I want them to be able to speak, I have to go in and tell them, hey, turn your microphone on, and then you guys can talk to me. Now, we can type messages back and forth. We've already looked at that. Let's look at what happens when I share a screen here. And I'm going to share my PowerPoint presentation with the students. So here's one on project-based learning. Now, this is my controls for this. And currently, because this eye is unchecked, the students can actually, on their end, scroll through this presentation at their pace and their freedom. If I just check that eye, it now says private viewing disabled, participants cannot move through your shared presentation on their own. So now they're stuck following along with my presentation, and it's that one simple check. Make sure that you take your time, go through that, and make sure that that's taken care of. And then, of course, when I move forward, they are now following along right with where I am in the presentation. So I can dismiss that notification. We are good to go. The one thing that I like about sharing an actual PowerPoint or sharing a window is that if I choose to go into Google for some reason, or if I have to go out of the presentation and I need to look something up on my own, I can do that without them seeing what's going on. So if they have a question, I can quickly Google it. I can leave my presentation up. I can keep talking to the students, and they cannot see my desktop. They can't see my screen. If I share as the desktop, then anything that I do, students can see. So you either want to share a window and pick a specific action that you want to look at, or you can share a PowerPoint presentation and control your side of the setting that way as well. Now, there's one last feature I do want to look at here, and I'm going to go ahead and stop presenting here. When I go into the chat, if there is something that I want to share with students immediately, I want to share that PowerPoint, I want to share a document with them, I can come down here to my messages, I can click attach, choose upload from my computer, and I can scroll down here for a document, and I'll do the schedule. I can attach this by hitting upload file. I'll go ahead and say replace. And I can click send, and they now have access to this attachment. So they can download this, or they can open it in a new tab. They can open in a browser, whatever they need to do to make sure that they have access to that file. That is a great feature to be able to work with your students and make sure that they have a document that you might be talking about right in that moment, or make sure that they have access to whatever files you want them to know for the week, for that lesson, whatever that might be. So I know that there is a lot going on with the digital environment, and I know that there's a lot of concerns, and certainly that's something that we can control part of and try to alleviate some of our own fears when it comes to this digital environment. So this is just one of those small things that you can do to keep control of your classroom, just as if you would in a face-to-face setting. Thank you so much for joining me in the digital classroom today. For more tools and techniques for the digital curriculum, don't forget to sign up at my Facebook page at The Digital Classroom, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more great videos. I'm Jamie Benedict for The Digital Classroom, and until next time, class is dismissed.